Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most intense and shocking developments in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine, Russia, and the Western Alliance, an operation that has left the Black Sea blazing and global energy markets on edge. Reports have surfaced that Ukraine, with coordination and intelligence support from the US Navy, launched a devastating strike on a massive Russian oil depot valued at over $10 billion. This operation not only crippled one of Russia's key energy hubs, but also sent shockwaves across international waters, igniting both literal and political flames that could redefine the future of the Black Sea region. The story begins under the cover of darkness when Ukrainian forces, backed by advanced satellite intelligence and real-time tracking systems provided by Western allies, pinpointed a critical Russian oil storage facility near the Black Sea coast. This wasn't an ordinary depot, it was a sprawling complex that stored millions of barrels of refined oil and served as a logistical lifeline for Russia's naval operations in the region. The facility's location had long made it a prime target, but previous attempts to hit it had failed due to its heavy fortification and advanced defense systems. This time, however, Ukraine came prepared, equipped with cutting-edge drones and precision-guided missiles that changed the game entirely. Inside the operations center, Ukrainian military analysts closely monitored every move of the Russian defense network. The U.S. Navy's involvement came through advanced reconnaissance aircraft and satellite data sharing. American P-8 Poseidon surveillance planes reportedly tracked Russian radar signatures and provided targeting data to ensure that Ukraine's drones could evade detection. The coordination between Kiev and Washington was subtle but undeniable, marking one of the most sophisticated joint efforts since the beginning of the war. The moment the strike command was issued, dozens of drones launched from secret Ukrainian bases began their flight across the Black Sea, hugging the water's surface to stay below radar coverage. The interior of the depot was filled with fuel tanks and pumping systems, guarded by anti-aircraft units and electronic jamming towers designed to disrupt incoming drones. However, Ukraine had anticipated this. The initial wave of drones acted as decoys, deliberately triggering Russian defenses and forcing them to waste ammunition. As the Russians focused on shooting down what they believed were the primary attackers, the real strike units slipped through the chaos, guided by encrypted satellite signals. Within minutes, they reached their targets and unleashed explosive payloads directly into the heart of the depot. The resulting explosion was catastrophic. Flames soared hundreds of meters into the night sky, visible from miles away across the Black Sea. The oil storage tanks ignited one after another in a chain reaction that created an inferno so massive it could be seen from orbit. Local residents reported deafening blasts that shattered windows and turned night into day. Russian emergency services were overwhelmed as they rushed to contain the blaze, but with so much fuel burning at once, it was an impossible task. The fire raged for hours, consuming billions in stored oil and leaving the facility in ruins. From a performance perspective, the strike showcased just how far Ukraine's military capabilities have evolved with Western support. The drones used in the operation reportedly included both Ukrainian-made long-range models and modified Western systems capable of carrying heavier payloads. Their precision and coordination rivaled even the most advanced NATO exercises. The speed, timing, and accuracy of the attack proved that Ukraine's ability to conduct deep strikes has reached an entirely new level. Analysts have noted that such a successful hit on a high-value target deep within Russian territory could not have been achieved without detailed intelligence and coordination from the U.S. Navy's reconnaissance assets. Meanwhile, the Russian response was immediate but chaotic. The Kremlin's defense ministry claimed that most of the incoming drones were intercepted, yet the satellite imagery told a different story. Massive plumes of smoke and destruction made it clear that the attack had struck its intended targets. Russian media tried to downplay the damage, describing it as limited. But insiders admitted that the loss of this oil depot severely disrupted naval refueling operations and caused a significant logistical setback for ongoing campaigns in southern Ukraine. The Black Sea Fleet, already under immense pressure from Ukrainian missile strikes and sabotage operations, now faced a serious fuel crisis that could hinder its mobility and readiness. On the safety side, the incident raised global concerns. The Black Sea, one of the world's busiest maritime zones, suddenly became a hazardous area filled with burning oil slicks drifting on the water's surface. Shipping routes were temporarily suspended as flames spread dangerously close to nearby ports. The environmental toll is still being assessed, but early estimates suggest thousands of tons of crude oil leaked into the sea, posing a massive ecological threat to surrounding nations including Turkey, Bulgaria, and Romania. International maritime agencies issued alerts, warning all vessels to avoid the affected zone until the situation was under control. In terms of safety measures, the U.S. Navy reportedly moved some of its assets in the Mediterranean closer to monitor Russian reactions. Although Washington officially denied any direct involvement, the timing of U.S. reconnaissance flights over the Black Sea and the precision of Ukraine's strike made it clear that a significant level of support was provided. The Pentagon reiterated that American forces are not directly participating in combat operations, but military experts argue that intelligence sharing plays a decisive role in modern warfare, and this event was a textbook example of it. What makes this strike uniquely significant is how it exposes the vulnerabilities of Russia's energy infrastructure and military supply chain. For years, Moscow relied heavily on its oil reserves near the Black Sea to fund and fuel its war machine. By destroying a $10 billion depot, Ukraine didn't just deliver a tactical blow, it struck at the very foundation of Russia's wartime economy. The operation symbolized a shift from defensive tactics to strategic offense, where Kiev now seeks to cripple the logistical backbone that keeps Russian operations running. For Ukraine, this was not only a military success but also a powerful statement of resilience and capability. From a geopolitical perspective, the timing couldn't be more critical. Russia has been increasing its naval presence in the Black Sea, attempting to intimidate NATO allies and secure trade routes despite international sanctions. This strike, therefore, sends a message not only to Moscow but to the world. The Black Sea is no longer a safe zone for Russian dominance. The coordination between Ukraine and the U.S. Navy highlights the growing depth of Western involvement in this conflict, blurring the line between indirect support and active participation. If such operations continue, it could escalate tensions further, drawing NATO and Russia dangerously close to direct confrontation. The price of this operation, both financially and politically, is immense. Russia's oil export revenue already suffered under sanctions, and losing a facility of this scale could result in billions of dollars in long-term losses. Energy analysts predict that this strike will push global oil prices upward, especially as winter approaches and demand for fuel increases. On the Ukrainian side, while the strike is being celebrated as a triumph, officials remain cautious. Retaliation from Moscow is almost guaranteed. Russian forces have already launched new waves of missile attacks targeting Ukrainian energy infrastructure in response, signaling the start of another brutal phase of escalation. For everyday people, the implications are far-reaching. Rising oil prices, shipping disruptions, and increased regional instability could impact economies across Europe and beyond. Yet for Ukraine, this operation represents hope-proof that its forces can hit back against a much larger opponent and inflict real, measurable damage. The morale boost from this victory cannot be understated. Across social media, Ukrainians celebrated the footage of the burning depot as a symbol of defiance and payback for months of Russian aggression. As the fire finally began to die down, satellite images revealed the true scale of destruction, an area once filled with neatly arranged fuel tanks now reduced to scorched metal and craters. Russian emergency units continued to battle smaller blazes, but the depot was a total loss. Investigations by independent monitors confirmed that the operation was executed with surgical precision and minimal collateral damage to surrounding civilian areas, a stark contrast to Russia's own indiscriminate bombing campaigns. In the aftermath, diplomatic tension surged. Moscow accused Washington of orchestrating the attack, warning that it crossed a red line. The U.S. dismissed the claim but called on Russia to withdraw from Ukrainian territory if it wanted the war to end. Meanwhile, NATO convened emergency consultations to assess the risk of further escalation in the Black Sea. Turkey, which controls access to the sea through the Bosporus Strait, also expressed concern over the increasing militarization of the region. Ultimately, this strike could mark a turning point in the war. It demonstrates how Ukraine's strategic approach has evolved, moving from defending its borders to targeting the infrastructure that sustains Russia's war effort. It also underscores how Western intelligence, technology, and naval support have transformed Ukraine's capabilities from reactive to proactive. For Russia, it's a painful reminder that even its most secure assets are no longer untouchable. In conclusion, the joint operation between Ukraine and the U.S. Navy that led to the destruction of Russia's $10 billion oil depot is more than just another headline. It's a clear message that the dynamics of this war are shifting. The Black Sea, once a symbol of Russian power projection, has become a battlefield where technology, intelligence, and precision strike tactics dominate. As the world watches the flames fade over the horizon, one question remains. How far will each side go before the next major escalation changes everything? The strike has reshaped the strategic balance in the region, and while Ukraine celebrates its success, both sides now brace for what comes next. The world stands on edge, watching a conflict that continues to push the boundaries of modern warfare and global diplomacy, and the Black Sea has never looked more volatile.